Hey, folks, back on the Bossman show here for the show. Coach Kyle Gerdeman, Lindenwood, Lions out of the OVC. Coach, how you doing up there, man? St. Charles, Missouri.
Man, everything's going good. Just, I guess we're almost a month into the school year and, having some preseason workouts and everything and just kind of moving along, ready for the first day of practice.
And Coach, how was like the transition last year from D2 to D1? And that transition trying to figure out all the new D1 rules. So how was that first year for you all in the D1, man? And how'd you assess it?
Yeah, I think overall just an experience in general. I think we went through a little bit of everything. We found, you go through positives, and exciting times when you win your first Division I game and you win your first conference game and you win your first road game. You get all those first out of the way. And then you go through some stretches where it's hard, which a lot of teams do, and you lose a few in a row and you battle through that adversity. But I thought overall it was really good. I thought we found success in the things that we were looking for as a team, which, not just wins and losses. And then I think the way we finished the year, I thought was really positive for us because, we kind of battled through the conference season and kind of fighting for that last spot in the conference tournament, which in the OVC only 8 out of 10 teams make the conference tournament. And so for us to win our last 2 conference games at home, and both of them were kind of exciting games coming from behind. We win the last one at the buzzer to put us in the tournament. It was like I said, from top to bottom, it was just an experience of everything you could have wanted to experience. We did it. So it was interesting.
100%. And one thing I can say about your team, Coach, last year was you all put some close games, a lot of
Yeah.
close games. And
Yeah.
But I feel like this will help your guys who are turning down now this year because you and I both know you can't really replicate that in practice. So you don't have to go through that in live game action. So I know it's not something you want to give you some more gray hairs, but man,
Yeah.
those close games with all that practice in live action is gonna help you that going down the road with your guys on the roster now.
Yeah, I think so. And I thought that was something that we saw. Like you said, we saw a lot of close games, and man, we lost a bunch of them early on, and those stay with you for a long time. But then again, we won our share at the end also. And I think part of that, you go back to your question about the experience. I think that was one thing that it helped us because I think that there was probably a lot of uncertainty from our guys of how can we compete? Are we going to be good enough? What's it going to be like? And then all of a sudden we jump out and we find ourselves competing with teams and losing some close games, winning some close games. And so, I thought that experience overall helped us make it through the season last year. But I agree, I think, a guy like Keenan Cole, who's our best returning player, Tommy Williams came off the bench and played big minutes as far as David Ware. Those guys should have that experience, and then they should have that confidence more than anything that, hey, if we do the right things and we prepare ourselves the way we should, we should be in a lot of games.
And Coach, the one thing from D1 to D2 that you know is that you can have your guys in the summertime. You actually have time with them. So that'll just be able to touch your guys, maybe to kind of have that schedule in the spring and summer here, having them on campus, better see them get better in the individual, not having to hope so much. You can touch them and see, get them bigger, stronger, and faster than the weight room. So how good was that to go that experience, having been able to touch your guys in the summertime now?
Yeah, a lot. And, I think it helped us a lot. I thought this was a big summer for us because not only, we have a handful of returners, but we've got a lot of new guys they're going to play a big role for us. So to be able to get them in here a little bit in June and July was really important. And I think getting them in the weight room, getting them acclimated to, strength and conditioning at a different level, even a lot of guys come in and they eat better, for the first time than they were doing at their other schools or in high school, obviously. But then we finished the summer off with a foreign tour. We went to Italy for 7 days. And so to get over there and get that time to bond a little bit, while we were in Italy, and then also obviously play 3 games. And I think that's what to me was really enjoyable about it, because usually, you finish your summer camp and you have an idea of what you think your team might be, but you really don't know because, you didn't play anybody. So for this time, we got to have our summer camp, then we got to go play 3 games. And so it gave you a better feel of what you think your team could be. And, I thought that was a great experience for us.
100%. Kind of read my mind. I was gonna go there next, but the Italy trip. But I think it's good, like you say, it's good to kind of get a free look to see what you have, so you can kind of make some
Yeah.
tweaks between now when fall practice starts on the 25th, and then you can kind of go from there, and as you get to November 6th. So I feel like it's good to get there a free look, and also kind of know what works, does not work, find a
Yeah.
rotation that you had to have once
Yeah.
things get going.
Yeah, I thought it was like we talked about some of our guys, and obviously it's still still a long way to go, but you even saw some of the young guys get in there and get their feet wet and the game be really hard for them, and usually you don't get that until your first close scrimmage game or something, when you play that other Division I school in October, a few weeks into practice, and so even then to see the young guys get out there and find some struggles and find that it's not that easy when outside of practice and playing against a different opponent. So I thought we got a great example of everything from positives to negatives to simple plays that we didn't make. You get to see so much of that stuff in early August, like I said, instead of having to wait till your scrimmages or your closed scrimmages or even your exhibition game, whatever it might be. So that was a big thing that we took away from it.
And also, I think it was good for that bonding. We had all those new guys on the roster, guys
Yeah.
returning. I feel like that jumpstarts camaraderie. I think I may be wrong, but I think most teams who do a foreign trip usually have a star because they have that better camaraderie. They
Yeah.
already chemistry together because you can't replicate chemistry and going out of the country where you're at each other all the time. That long
Yeah.
plane ride, those dinners, and all those going seeing sightseeing. You can't replicate that nowhere else. So I feel like chemistry wise, it's going to give you a jump start out there because we know our versus is going to hit. But I think having this time together, that'll make sure
Yeah.
your guys are more connected. And they'll still be with each other, do the good, bad, and indifferent.
Yeah. I thought what was interesting was, you take off to go over there and you're not sure, how guys are how they're gonna grab to the trip. Like, they're excited, but they don't want to let they're excited. They're still pretty cool. They don't want to tell you how much they're looking forward to it. But the thing is that, once you get off the plane and your phone doesn't really work and you got some limited resources and all of a sudden you're just around your team, and so it not that it forces you to communicate with your teammates, but it kind of does, because what you gravitate back to naturally is what's easy, and what's easy is communicating with the people that are around you when you're over there, when you're walking the streets of Rome, on your free time, and you don't know the language and things like that. Well, you're just gonna hang out with your guys, right? You're gonna hang out with your teammates. Yeah. And then there were times where we would give them per diem, so like lunch would be on their own, so they had to kind of navigate how to go, which sounds simple, right? Let's go find lunch, but there's still a language barrier there. So I think putting them in just those situations and seeing how they interact with each other, just to figure out the simplest things was pretty interesting. But I don't think there's any doubt that it helps with the team building and the camaraderie, and I do think we got a lot out of that.
Yeah, coach, I'll tell you a quick story. I think I have a cheat code because playing travel baseball, I got used to different languages as a 6-year-old. So when I go
Yeah.
travel abroad, I can speak some of the languages because I had to deal with French, Portuguese, Spanish, and Dutch. So I know just off general principle that Spanish and Italian is kind of close.
Yeah.
So for you, so I can think the Spanish
Yeah.
way, I can kind of get by.
Yeah. Well, we have a guy on our team, Keith Heyman, who's a transfer from Northern Arizona, a grad transfer, and he's got family in Italy, and they actually came to see us the first game in Florence, and so he speaks fluent Italian, so he was obviously one of the more popular players on the trip, because when the guys really needed something, they could go to Keith and then he could talk for him and help him out. So we did have that, yeah, kind of like you're saying.
Yes, indeed. And Coach, I guess, man, how has recruiting been now since you're D1 level? When people hear Lindenwood, they know D1, and when you call certain parents and players and recruits, they're out the ears now perked up more since Lindenwood. Oh, weird, you're D1 now.
Yeah, I think without a doubt, and I think the first place we see it is right here locally. in the St. Louis area, in Missouri, even just across the state. But, it obviously that's what everybody wants to do, right? Everybody wants to play Division I basketball. They want to play Division I sports in general. But, I think that, it opens those doors. It excites people. People are more interested about what you're doing, not just from a recruiting standpoint. We get more calls and emails now about, coaches that just want to come and watch practice, or AAU coaches that want to come and watch practice, or high school coaches that want to come and watch practice. More of those than we used to get in the past. And that's all ties back into your recruiting anyway, as you bring people into your gym. So I think what I've been a little surprised about is just the amount of people that want to be around more, because you're a Division I program. And then again, that leads back into the recruiting piece where, right away that you're going to have an easier entry. Those doors are going to be open for you as a Division I program. And so I think it obviously helps. You have to be more organized, I think, as coaches and as a staff. And, because now you're dealing with, if you had a recruiting list of, I don't know, 50, it probably gets doubled automatically to 100, just because you have people with that much more interest and more people you can touch now, that would be, that want to play Division I basketball. So, but I think it's a huge positive, and obviously it helps without a doubt.
And then the OVC's even growing. Like I said, you guys got Western Illinois now, and
Yeah.
the OVC now with you guys, Southern Indiana. So the OVC's not what I was used to it being over the
Yeah,
years,
yeah.
but it's a good change. And how excited are you seeing the OVC, how it's changing, and what Beth the Bush and her staff are doing with the OVC as you all been going to year two has been a member.
Yeah, no, I think it's exciting because, and I think when, that obviously they had their challenges when you see teams that left. And I think Beth, knew that she had a challenge of keeping the number right, whether that's 10 teams, 11 teams, 12 teams, whatever they want to go to. But obviously I think they did a good job of working through those challenges. And we're glad that we were in addition, obviously, with Southern Indiana, and then, going out and finding Western Illinois, who I think just makes a lot of sense from a regional standpoint, that I think they're a good fit for the league. From a basketball standpoint, I think they've always been, competitive. And I think, what Rob had started there before he left, and then what Chad Boudreau will be able to do stepping in being the head coach, I think that, they'll step into the league and they'll be good, so I think it's going to make our basketball side even better than it was last year. And I think it's exciting to see, how the league grows in general. I mean, how do we improve upon what we have now? How do we get a bigger media market? How do we make a bigger name for the conference in general? Because I think what you saw last year was a league that I thought was really, really competitive. Like I said, I mean, to make the conference tournament went down to the last game of the season. I think they were fighting for, positioning all the way up the pole, from the 4 seed to the 5 seed, 3 seed, 2 seed, Moorhead, I think was gonna win it, the regular season. But I just think it's such a competitive league that as we continue to improve our brand, I think people will be excited to see what kind of basketball we have.
100%. Yeah, Preston does a heck of a job up there. Brad did a good job, got an extension there. So yeah, man, it's just seeing
Yeah.
what WC is becoming, man, is very important. I had Chad on the show, man. He talked for 35 minutes.
That
I was like,
was probably just after the first question.
I had 4 questions, coach. 4, 35 minutes. I tell you, I kid you not. It's no joke.
Oh, that's funny.
Yes,
That's
sir.
him.
Yes, and coach, I see you playing the MT in Air Force. I had on
Yeah.
Joe Scott. He talked about having you guys out there with William and Mary in Omaha. Talk about going out the Air Force, playing the MT, gets those Mountain West teams, all those tough opponents out there, man. That you're gonna see out there when you go out there and play those guys.
Yeah, I think that when you look for an MTE, I think you try to find something that a couple things. One, I think that can be kind of unique or give your guys a different experience. And so you can talk about a lot of things and a lot of different places to go. But I think Air Force provides that. A beautiful place to be for a week of games, a unique campus and university there with what they have. I think that'll be interesting to kind of see for for us and our players. But, and then at the end, I think you look for, an MTE where you think you can be competitive. And obviously, I think, technically or traditionally, I wouldn't want to go play probably a Mountain West team. But so you're going to go have a tough game against Air Force, the home team there. But then you hope that you can be really competitive with Omaha and William and Mary, teams that, I think are in leagues that, as we build our program, and we're not there yet, but, I think we need to be able to be at the level of those teams in those conferences, and be competitive with teams like that. So I think it'll be, and it's similar to what we did last year when we went to McNeese State. We kind of felt like, these are teams that at some point in the near future we need to be able to compete with and be as good as. And so I think we're looking at the same thing. When you get out there, like I said, you have a really challenging game against Air Force, and then you hopefully that you can show your improvement and show that you're competitive against teams from similar level leagues that you are, and that's kind of what we're looking for when we get into it.
100%, coach. Well, I think you're doing a heck of a job there, man. I feel like you have it's kind of like, man, kids, it's feel like your job has changed there from when you got hired. It's like you got hired, it's, job has changed as you have the job. So you're on your job, second job almost.
Yeah. It's weird because you say that, and it does feel that way because the one thing, it just feels like we've never been able to stop building since we've been here, because we probably talked about this last time, but I won't waste a lot of time with it. But you just feel like when we got here the first year, I mean, I got the job in July and we had 3 players on the roster. So you're trying to build that, and then that building carries over the next year, and then we run into the pandemic. And so, it feels like this is the first class. And I've told a lot of people this, like, I feel like this is the first recruiting class that we've had. And this is starting year 5 that really was recruited the way you should recruit people, which is spending time with them, get them to know them along the way, bring them in for visits, get early commitments, get guys to sign. I feel like this is the first true recruiting class we've been able to have. And it took us 4 years to get to it. And
yeah.
So now that I feel like we've got some balance in that side of it. And then, like you say, then all of a sudden you feel like you've got a brand new job when you make the transition from Division II to Division I. So because there's just a lot of different things that come along with that, but it does feel like, that newness is still there. And like I said, when you tie that into the recruiting class, it feels like, okay, now we're here. Now let's get moving forward with our improvement and our process of building our program, because, a lot of the things that it took to get here are over with and settled. And, we feel like we're settled in and ready to move forward.
I think this is probably last year, those COVID guys been in the system. So it'll normalize even more next year. And hopefully you can still get those high school guys because they're not overlooked right now by the bigger guys. Hopefully you can still get those good high school players who fit what you want to do with these older guys cycle out of the system.
Yeah, no, that's a valid point, because those COVID guys have been around for a while, it seems like. And but yeah, I do think that's going to even out or level out recruiting, or bring it back to a little bit more of a natural process. And like if you look at our roster right now, I mean, we're basically all juniors and seniors. And I think that's one thing that we want to avoid is kind of having those top heavy classes, and that's where your high school kids come back in. And I think can be really important. So I think we're definitely at a point where, you've got to get back to recruiting those high school kids the way you used to, finding the guys that fit your program and can have an impact for sure.
Well, Coach, I'm gonna try to get to see you when you play Southern Indiana. That works better for my schedules. Hopefully I can catch you there, man. And I can get up here to see you guys. So 100% do that, man. But I'm definitely cheering for you, Coach, and I love our chats, man. I'll definitely looking at you guys, see what you all do, man. And I'm talking to you in March once you win in Evansville, man.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Well, I appreciate it, and yeah, anytime you're around, man, let me know. Would love to catch up with you.
Sounds good, Coach. You be safe, buddy.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right.
All right, we'll see you.